Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Eric, and new weekly energy update. A friend suggested this to me, a really powerful, awesome human being. She's a triple Taurus, which, if you don't know what that means, that is a sun, moon, and rising all in Taurus, so super Earth. And I love getting concrete ideas from Taurus energy because Taurus deals with projects, and so here we are, new project. A lot of times I just kind of like pepper in stuff that's like moving through me, but I've been wanting to create more consistency with something, and something that I know that I can definitely keep consistency on is a weekly energy update for everybody where we can just kind of get that pulse of like what's coming for the week. So this is going to be from basically Sunday night. I don't know my dates here, but basically it's Sunday night. I think today is like the 20, I don't know. It's Sunday through Saturday. I'm just gonna say that. I'll get the kinks worked out in future videos. Fuck it, right? So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just drop into a little bit of light channeling. Yeah, I'm actually just gonna flow with it. I don't even need to like really go into channeling. It's just kind of more about me expressing myself, in terms of like what it is that I'm seeing, what it is that I'm feeling. So, what's really weird is how sometimes the sun energy, like joy, can almost seem like menacing to people, almost like being kid-like and being like animal-like. It reminds me like Animal from Muppet Babies, just like wants to show up and just bang on drums and just fucking, I don't know, smoke the candy cigarette or whatever, just like kind of like goof off and do silly things. And it's like, why do we suppress that? Well, I think a lot of it is a self-worth issue where it's like a lot of times we're externalizing as human beings our self-worth, that it's like when I have things around me, like then I feel worthy. The relationship, the money, the body, the home, the toys, the boat, the house, when I get the money, all this stuff. I mean, there's an entire genre of rap music dedicated to a lot of like getting more money, and it's like, so there's kind of just this understanding that right now what we're in is just being kind of like the hungry ghost. It reminds me of, if you ever saw the movie Casper, and it had his three cousins, and they were just like sitting there eating at the dinner table. I think it was the first time they see the ghost, if I remember correctly, and all the food just going right through them, because they're fucking ghosts. They're a silhouette. It just falls right on the floor. No digestive system, nothing. It just falls right through this see-through transparent body. And that's kind of what it feels like right now for us, like when we're trying to get anything outside of ourselves that we think that's going to satisfy ourselves. And in a weird way, it's the opposite effect. It's actually poison. It's poison, and it's placating lack. It's creating abundance issues. It's creating a sense of melancholy within the soul, because the soul knows that it can be fulfilled simply by taking a conscious breath and just shifting its attention into just the love and the beauty and the physically just feeling and being in the body connected to earth and the people and the trees and the oceans, and just this oneness connection of abundance, of connecting on the physical plane to the divine, to Mother Earth. And so it's a cancer, it's a sickness, to be quite honest with you. And so like what you're seeing is like people that sometimes can all of a sudden be themselves and then not themselves, because we're kind of getting like lost a little bit sometimes in terms of like who we are and like what we stand for. So a lot of times it is just taking a breath and keeping a focus on what it is that we're here to do. But it's an understanding that can sometimes be hard to do, because self-worth, self-doubt, sometimes not feeling fulfilled in the work that we're doing or where we're putting our energy into life can happen because we are connected to the collective. And so this is an essence of where we kind of sometimes have to like be animal like I mentioned in the beginning, and kind of move the body and goof off and be playful. Because what this is a lymphatic system detox, like an instantaneous one that can happen, give you results quickly. Like 60% of the results come in the first few seconds, but then you can maximize within like 2 to 5 minutes of like moving, ecstatic dance, jumping on a trampoline, to be kid-like, to create innocence within the psyche, because we are connected to a collective that's kind of like is still holding on just a little bit. It's kind of shimmying down the rope into this like deep well of like, what happens when I surrender, and let go of the rope? What happens when that happens? And it's kind of like, well, it's like that song. It's like, I'm free, free falling. And it's like, it's in a good way. Like that's an optimistic song, right? Like free falling, surrendering is a good thing. And serenity can come up for stuff that comes up from the past. And that's where I think we're all can get like really decrepit really quick. I know I've experienced it. And it's like, ugh, it's hell. It's like you can feel like you're 90 years old if you're still hanging on, chasing gingerbread men from the past. It's like, you can't catch me on the gingerbread man. Like you can't catch up with the past. Like it's an illusion, There's an illusion that it would produce emotional fulfillment if you had something from the past back. And that's a really big fucking Dr. Mario pill to swallow, is that there's these aspects of ourselves that thinks like, oh, if I could just have this back, if I could just be Uncle Rico and go back in time, and I would take state. I bring him up a lot because he's like the proverbial archetype for someone like living in the past. Uncle Rico for Napoleon Dynamite. And so this is where we have to be present day stewards of love, of light, of our relationships, but also just like shining our bright light to where it is starting to kind of remember that in a way that as spiritual beings, yes, we want to connect with people, but we're in a time too where we can't get shackled down into like people pleasing, and relationships underwent a crazy facelift with this recent Venus retrograde that I can't even fathom yet. That's like somewhere like kind of getting swept under the rug from like what it's going to be like for the next few hundred years type thing. It reminds me of getting swept under the rug from when Saturn and Pluto met that kicked off COVID and all these other things in early 2020, of like, are we talking about this? Like, hello, like, are we talking about like relationships? Like, what are relationships now? Like, is it just people have to simultaneously exist in each other's realities without friction and the understanding that it's an individual journey for it to work? And then all the other ones are just like not working, or they're falling apart, or like they're very unconscious or very forced to make it work, which is like furthering hell even more, because to me hell would be missing out on the beautiful opportunities, like hanging on to something that's kind of needs to be let go of. And so it's like there's a lot of like single energy that I think kind of like came out of this, of just like the sovereign power to be free and to not be shackled, and that if you are going to be in a relationship, that sovereignty has to come first. And I think this is what the therapists need to be talking about, is like, how do we start to exercise sovereignty? Let's get out of the labels and the this person did that, and let's break it down, and this is the psychology and blah blah blah. The psychology is a study of the human intellect and mindset of where it's currently at with the status quo. So with this Venus retrograde, like, do we want to keep being a fucking mortician, with like these like ideas of therapy of like what happened in the psychology? Or do we want to go like start to be botanists, like studying like the wild flowers in the beautiful field of abundance, of freedom, of sovereignty, where you can just go and live your fucking life, and that you don't have to worry about, like this thing and this to my psyche, and just like we're in energy right now where it's not about there's a great illusion that we need a bond right now. that we need a bond to something outside of ourselves, as I mentioned earlier, but this comes up big as relationships too. Or that we even need to play like detective to like even figure out like where's that bond at. We're in energy now where it's like the abundance is right fucking there. It's right in front of you in the heart space. And I know for me it's been hard to go there at times because I'm scared to, because I know that I'm going to have to feel some loss and feel some grief because the heart processes it all, right? Like that's how we wind up with these traumas, and we wind up doing all this psychological studying and therapy, and therapists are fucking making bank, and everybody's seeing a therapist, and everybody's fucking having mental health issues right now. It's because we forgot about this. Honestly, I think it would be great if every fucking therapist went to the Heart Math Institute and got certified in that shit, or at least learned how to work with their devices and taught people heart coherence. Because where we're going, it's like, I feel like Doc Brown, where we're going, we don't need roads. Like, we don't need the roads of the old psychology, because it's falling away with the old earth and the 3D. The 5D is going to be that coalescence with the heart and that heart coherence. So, and it's in that heart, it's in that heart space that you can experience the joy and the freedom of play, of the unknown, to see like, what's it like to explore the unknown? Like, what's it like to exist seemingly around the same things or people or environments potentially, but like in a different dimension? What's it like to just show up in a completely different dynamic and dimension, where you're connected with the divine, where you know that God's going to take care of you, where you know that things are going to work out for you, where you know that there are predestined karmic transitions in your life that are always going to take you to where you want to go, and then you don't have to worry, you don't have to freak out, you don't have to worry about who's in your life, who's not in your life, where the money's coming from, any of this shit, because when you exist in this dimension, it will flow. I love you all. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you did. Take care.